Alexa sat alone in her apartment, the soft glow of the city lights outside casting long shadows across the walls. In her hands was an envelope she never expected to see, an elegant, cream-colored invitation adorned with gold lettering that read, Lily and Jake. The names felt like a punch to her chest. The two people she had trusted most in her life were getting married, together, and she had been invited. Her mind raced as she stared at the invitation. How had it come to this? The man she once planned a future with, the woman she called her best friend, how could they betray her so completely? For years, Alexa had believed in love, friendship, and loyalty. She thought Jake was the one, the person she'd grow old with, the person who would always have her back. But now, all of that had shattered like glass underfoot. Her fingers trembled as she unfolded the card. The date, the venue, a stunning vineyard just outside Seattle. A place where memories were supposed to be made, not broken. The realization hit her like a tidal wave. They wanted her there, to witness their union, to celebrate what had once been hers. Alexa's throat tightened and tears threatened, but she swallowed the pain down, breathing deeply to steady herself. She knew this wasn't just about an invitation. It was a challenge, a test of her strength, her courage, and her ability to move forward. The question that echoed in her heart was clear. Would she crumble under the weight of betrayal, or would she rise? In that moment, she made a choice. She wouldn't hide. She wouldn't disappear into the shadows of heartbreak. She would show up, not as the broken woman left behind, but as someone reborn, stronger, wiser, and ready to reclaim her story. But this journey wasn't going to be easy. It was going to test every ounce of her resolve. She would face old wounds, whispered judgments, and the ghosts of the past. There would be moments when doubt threatened to consume her, when the pain felt unbearable. Yet, beneath it all, a quiet fire burned, a determination to find herself again, to redefine what it meant to love and be loved. This is the story of Alexa's journey through betrayal, heartbreak, and ultimately transformation. It's a story about how life's most painful moments can become the catalyst for the greatest growth. It's about friendship tested, love lost, and strength found in the unlikely places. If you've ever faced a moment that threatened to break you, or if you've ever wondered how to find hope after heartbreak, this story is for you. So stay with me. Let's walk this path together, because sometimes the hardest journeys lead us to the brightest destinations. Seattle's early morning fog rolled gently over the city's iconic skyline, blending the soft hum of traffic with the distant call of seagulls by the waterfront. In the heart of this bustling metropolis lived Alexa, a woman whose life was a delicate balance of ambition, routine, and quiet dreams. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled her apartment as she prepared for another day navigating the fast-paced world of tech startups. Alexa was someone who thrived on structure, her days mapped out with meetings, deadlines, and strategic decisions that shaped the future of the company she worked for. Her apartment reflected her personality, minimalist yet inviting, with clean lines and a few treasured mementos scattered around. A framed photo of her with a wide smile beside a man she once thought was the one rested on her bookshelf. The city outside, with its blend of nature and innovation, mirrored Alexa's own blend of calm determination and restless curiosity. Her best friend, Lily, was the vibrant contrast to Alexa's steady presence. Where Alexa was measured and composed, Lily was a whirlwind of energy, laughter, and spontaneity. Their friendship wasn't the kind that fit neatly into stereotypes. It was an unspoken harmony born from years of shared experiences and contrasting personalities that somehow complemented each other perfectly. Lily had a magnetic charm. Whether she was dazzling at a marketing event or hosting a lively dinner party, she was the spark that lit up any room. Her style was bold, often sporting bright colors and eclectic accessories that matched her fearless approach to life. One evening, as Alexa and Lily sat in a cozy neighborhood cafe, their conversation flowed effortlessly from work stress to weekend plans. They were like two sides of the same coin, both ambitious, both chasing their dreams, yet doing so in vastly different ways. This dynamic had kept their friendship alive since their college days, even as Seattle's neighborhoods changed and their lives grew more complex. Then there was Jake. He wasn't just part of Alexa's story, he was central to it. Jake had a way of quietly commanding attention without ever needing to raise his voice. An architect by profession, he viewed the world through the lens of design and structure, always seeking beauty and balance and simplicity. His life was one of precision, but with a warmth that made him approachable. Alexa had fallen for that mix, the calm confidence, the gentle humor, the shared dreams of building a life together. Their relationship had unfolded slowly, like the city itself, steady growth punctuated by moments of breathtaking beauty. Seattle wasn't just the backdrop for their lives, it shaped them. The city's blend of nature and technology, its culture of innovation and openness, mirrored the layers of their stories. From morning runs along the waterfront to late-night brainstorming sessions at tech hubs, the rhythm of the city pulsed through their days. But beneath the surface of these intertwining lives were undercurrents, subtle tensions, unspoken desires, and shifting loyalties. As Alexa looked out her window one rainy afternoon, watching the city blur under the falling droplets, she had no idea how deeply those currents would soon change everything she thought about love, friendship, and trust. Alexa and Jake's relationship had the kind of slow-burning stability that many people envied. They weren't the type to rush into things. Instead, they built their love on a foundation of friendship, mutual respect, and shared dreams. Seattle's ever-changing skyline was the backdrop for countless memories, from casual Sunday brunches at Pike Place Market to rainy afternoons spent exploring local art galleries. Their connection was natural and steady. Jake's calm and thoughtful nature complemented Alexa's pragmatic and detail-oriented personality. Where she planned meticulously, he dreamed creatively. Together, they made a team, balancing ambition with affection. Their 5 years together weren't without challenges, but those only seemed to bring them closer. Alexa often recalled the quiet moments, the early morning coffees, the way Jake would listen when she talked about work struggles, the laughter they shared over failed attempts at cooking new recipes. These were the moments that stitched their lives together, the ones she thought would last forever. The proposal, 6 months before, was the culmination of all those shared moments. Jake had planned it carefully, choosing a spot along the Seattle waterfront where the city lights glittered like stars on the water. Alexa remembered how nervous he'd been, how his hands trembled as he held out the ring. It was intimate, simple, and perfectly them. When she said yes, the world seemed to stop for a moment, full of promise and hope. But alongside Jake was Lily, Alexa's best friend since college. Their friendship was one of those rare bonds that felt unbreakable. They had met during their freshman year at the University of Washington, bonding over late-night study sessions and shared dreams. While Alexa was always focused and reserved, Lily brought a vibrant energy to their duo. She was the social butterfly, the one who knew everyone and could light up any room she entered. Their lives, though different in pace and style, had always intertwined seamlessly. Alexa trusted Lily with her deepest secrets and fears, while Lily admired Alexa's steadiness and intelligence. The two had supported each other through career changes, heartbreaks, and family challenges. For years, their friendship was the safe harbor each needed amid the chaos of adulthood. Seattle was the perfect city for them to grow in. It was a place that offered both opportunity and challenge. The tech scene kept Alexa's mind sharp and her ambitions fueled, while Lily thrived in the city's bustling marketing world. Together, they navigated the fast-paced demands of young professionals trying to carve out meaningful lives. Yet beneath the surface of this perfect picture were subtle signs of tension. Lily's vivacious charm often drew admiration and attention, but Alexa sometimes felt overshadowed. Lily was effortlessly magnetic, always the center of social circles and parties. Alexa, meanwhile, was quieter, more deliberate. At times, she wondered if Lily envied her steady career path and the serious relationship she had with Jake. Jake, too, was caught in the middle of this dynamic. While he adored Alexa's intelligence and focus, he was drawn to Lily's spirited personality and infectious enthusiasm. It was a complicated web of admiration and attraction that none of them fully understood, at least not yet. Family also played a role. Both Alexa and Lily came from supportive but demanding backgrounds. Alexa's parents valued hard work and integrity, instilling a strong sense of responsibility. Lily's family encouraged her to shine and make bold moves, always pushing her to be seen and heard. These influences shaped their outlooks and fueled the unspoken competition simmering between the two friends. As their lives moved forward, the lines between friendship, loyalty, and love began to blur. The bond that once seemed unshakable started showing cracks, and the pressures of success, desire, and quietly tightened their grip. For Alexa, it was a delicate balance, holding on to trust while sensing something shifting beneath the surface. She believed in love and friendship, but she was about to learn that sometimes the hardest lessons come from the people you least expect. Alexa's flight from San Francisco touched down in Seattle much earlier than expected. She hadn't planned it this way. Her trip was meant to last the whole week, but a last-minute schedule change gave her the chance to come home sooner. The idea of surprising Jake filled her with warmth after the exhausting days filled with meetings, presentations, and endless emails. She imagined the comfort of their shared apartment, the familiar quietness, the easy companionship they had built over the years. As she arrived at the door, a soft drizzle began to fall, typical of a Seattle evening. She pulled her coat tighter around her and unlocked the door with a hopeful smile. But the apartment was unnervingly quiet. There was no sound of Jake's usual music playing low in the background, no lingering scent of his cologne or freshly brewed coffee. Something felt off. Her footsteps echoed softly across the hardwood floors as she set down her suitcase. The place was tidy, too tidy. She glanced toward the kitchen counter and saw Jake's phone lying there, screen lit up with notifications. He had told her earlier that he was going for a run to clear his head. She assumed he must have left in a hurry, leaving his phone unattended. Curiosity, mixed with the tiredness of the day, nudged her to pick up the phone. Her thumb hovered over the screen. She knew it wasn't right to look, but a quiet unease urged her on. The preview of a message flashed across the screen. "Miss you already. Can't wait to see you tonight." The sender's name stopped her cold. Lily. For a moment, Alexa's breath caught in her throat. Lily, her best friend since college, the woman she had trusted with her deepest secrets, the woman who had laughed with her through the toughest times. How could this be? Her fingers shook as she opened the messaging app, scrolling through weeks of texts. The messages were unmistakably intimate. Whispers of secret meetings, declarations of affection, plans made under the cover of darkness. The kind of words spoken between lovers, not friends. Shock crashed over Alexa in waves. She sank onto the nearest chair, the phone slipping from her grasp onto her lap. Her mind raced to understand, to deny, to rationalize, but the evidence was undeniable. Lily, Jake, the two people she loved most had betrayed her. Tears threatened to spill, but Alexa clenched her jaw, willing herself to stay composed. She thought back to every moment she had shared with them both, every trust she had placed in them. How many of those moments were lies? How long had this been going on without her knowing? Her heart pounded, not just from heartbreak, but from a rising determination. She wasn't going to break down here, not in this moment of unbearable pain. She had to know the truth, to face it head on. The sound of keys jingling at the door startled her. Jake was back, his face flushed from exertion, unaware of what Alexa had discovered. She steadied her voice, choosing her words carefully as he entered. "I saw the messages," she said quietly, watching his expression change instantly from casual to guilty. Jake's eyes dropped. "Alexa, I'm so sorry. It just happened. It wasn't supposed to hurt you." Her chest tightened. "How long?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. 3 months, he confessed, the weight of the secret finally released. 3 months. The thought spun in her mind like a cruel joke. 3 months of hidden calls, stolen moments, and broken promises. Despite the betrayal, Alexa held herself together. This was her moment to choose how she would respond, not with anger or shouting, but with calm clarity. She needed to understand everything before making any decisions. After Jake left to collect his thoughts, Alexa reached for her phone and called Lily. The call rang endlessly, unanswered. No voicemail, no message, just silence. Sitting alone in her dimly lit apartment, Alexa's mind kept circling around a question that refused to leave her. Why? Why would Lily, her best friend since college, betray her like this? And why would Jake, the man she loved and trusted more than anyone, break the promises they had made? It was a question that cut deeper than the pain itself, a question that forced her to confront uncomfortable truths, not just about them, but about herself as well. In the quiet moments that followed her discovery, Alexa began to sift through memories, conversations, and moments she had once taken for granted. She realized that beneath Lily's radiant smile and infectious energy lay a well of feelings she had never fully understood. Lily was not just the vivacious social butterfly. She was also someone who had struggled with feeling overlooked, especially as their lives began to take different paths. In college, Lily had always been the life of the party, the one who made friends effortlessly and lit up every room. Alexa, on the other hand, was the quieter, more reserved thinker, focused on her studies, her goals, and the steady climb toward a career she was determined to build. They balanced each other, and for years, their friendship thrived on these differences. But as they moved into adulthood, the differences between them began to create subtle cracks. Alexa's steady rise in the tech world, her serious relationship with Jake, and the calm confidence she exuded sometimes cast a shadow over Lily's more spontaneous and carefree lifestyle. While Alexa was gaining recognition and stability, Lily sometimes felt like she was chasing a spotlight that always seemed just out of reach. Over time, Lily's feelings of invisibility and jealousy, though unspoken, began to grow. She longed for a sense of belonging and significance beyond being just the fun friend. In private moments, she confided in others how lonely it felt to be in Alexa's shadow. The friendship, once so strong, became tangled in unspoken resentments and silent competitions. Jake's role in this complex web was equally human and flawed. He admired Alexa's intellect and dedication, but was also drawn to Lily's passion and spontaneity, the very traits that Alexa sometimes found exhausting. To Jake, Lily represented a breath of fresh air, a release from the pressures of a relationship defined by structure and planning. This did not excuse their betrayal. Alexa knew that. But understanding the emotional landscape they were all navigating helped her make sense of how things had spiraled so far out of control. It revealed the fragile balance between love, friendship, and desire, a balance that, when disturbed, could lead to heartbreaking consequences. Alexa's heart ached not only because of the betrayal, but because she had failed to see these struggles when they mattered most. She realized that she had been so focused on her own path, so invested in maintaining the facade of control, that she missed the signs of Lily's growing pain and Jake's restless heart. This painful awareness became a turning point for Alexa. It was no longer enough to simply be hurt. She needed to understand and heal. She promised herself that as she faced the difficult road ahead, she would carry not only the scars of betrayal, but also the wisdom gained from it. Because healing, she knew, began with truth, not just the truth about others, but the truth within herself. The days following Alexa's discovery felt like walking through a storm that never quite passed. What had once been her safe harbor, the people she loved and trusted, now felt like a battlefield littered with shattered pieces of her life. The betrayal by Jake and Lily wasn't just a private wound. It rippled outward, tearing through the fabric of her family and friendships. Alexa's parents, John and Karen Carter, had always been her rock. They raised her with values centered on honesty, integrity, and resilience. When Alexa broke the news, their initial shock was quickly replaced by fierce protectiveness. "We're here for you, sweetheart," her mother said, holding her hands tightly during an emotional phone call. But even their support came with its own complexities. John, her father, was a practical man. He urged Alexa to be cautious about whom she trusted moving forward, but also encouraged her to consider forgiveness, reminding her that people are flawed. Karen, on the other hand, was less forgiving, her anger at Lily and Jake palpable whenever their names came up. The tension between Alexa's parents mirrored the conflicting emotions she felt inside, a tug between love, disappointment, and the desire for closure. Family dinners, once a place of warmth and laughter, grew tense and uncomfortable. Some relatives sided quietly with Lily and Jake, whispering about how mistakes happen and love is complicated. Others offered sympathy, but seemed unsure how to navigate the fracture that had suddenly appeared in the family's close-knit circle. Even Alexa's closest friends became divided. Some rallied around her with unwavering support, offering late-night talks and distraction-filled weekends. Others, perhaps unsure how to take sides, drifted away. The social media storm didn't help either. Posts and stories circulated, some sympathetic, some judgmental, and others downright cruel. Alexa found herself reading comments that questioned her worth, her decisions, even her character. Meanwhile, Jake and Lily had started making their relationship public. Instagram photos of romantic dinners and weekend getaways appeared, as if trying to paint a picture of happiness and normalcy. Invitations to social events were sent out, including one that caught Alexa's attention, their wedding invitation. The invite wasn't just a formal card, it was a challenge, a reminder of what she'd lost. The elegant script and the names Lily and Jake embossed in gold seemed to mock her pain. Alexa's heart ached, but beneath that pain, a flicker of defiance sparked. The fallout extended beyond just personal relationships. It affected Alexa's work life, too. Colleagues who once shared friendly chats became awkward or distant. Rumors floated around the office grapevine, and Alexa had to fight to keep her professional reputation intact while managing the emotional chaos. Despite everything, there were moments of unexpected kindness. A coworker offered a listening ear, a neighbor brought over homemade soup, and her therapist became a steady anchor through the turmoil. These small acts reminded Alexa that not everyone had turned their back. Through it all, the family dynamics were shifting. Jake's parents, once welcoming and warm, now kept their distance, unwilling to confront the uncomfortable truth. Lily's family showed mixed reactions, some expressing regret, others defending their daughter's choices. Alexa realized that while betrayal was painful, the fractures it caused often forced people to reveal their true colors. At times, Alexa questioned her own strength. Was she strong enough to face the judgment, the loneliness, the betrayal? Yet, deep inside, she knew this storm was part of her story, not the whole story. It was a painful chapter, yes, but also a chance to rebuild. She began to set boundaries, limiting contact with family members who caused more hurt than healing, focusing on relationships that nurture her growth, and learning that sometimes love meant letting go. In a world that felt upside down, Alexa discovered the quiet power of resilience. The road ahead was uncertain, but with every painful conversation, every tear shed, she moved one step closer to reclaiming herself. After the storm of betrayal and heartbreak, Alexa found herself standing at a crossroads. The days of pain and confusion had left deep scars, but they also ignited a quiet determination. She realized that while she couldn't control what Jake and Lily had done, she could control how she responded. This was her moment, a turning point to reclaim her life and rediscover who she truly was beyond the heartbreak. Alexa started small. The first step was focusing on her own well-being. She booked sessions with a therapist, someone who helped her untangle the knot of emotions inside her. Therapy became her safe space, a place where she could process the betrayal, express her anger, and begin to forgive, not for Jake or Lily's sake, but for her own peace of mind. Physical health soon became a part of her healing journey. Alexa joined a local gym and started personal training sessions. The workouts weren't just about losing weight or looking good, they were about rebuilding strength, both physical and mental. Every drop of sweat was a small victory, a reminder that she was capable of endurance and growth. Her style and appearance began to reflect this transformation. Alexa, who had once favored simple, practical outfits, began experimenting with bold colors and contemporary fashion that made her feel vibrant and confident. She cut her hair into a sleek bob that framed her face with new sharpness, symbolizing a fresh start. These changes weren't superficial, they were expressions of a woman who was learning to love herself again. Alexa's social life also started to shift. She reconnected with old friends and made new ones, people who lifted her up rather than held her down. She attended networking events and charity galas, places where she could engage her intellect and passion for innovation. It was at one such event that she met Ethan, a fellow entrepreneur with a warm smile and easy charm. Ethan was different. There was no rush, no pressure, just genuine connection. He admired Alexa's resilience and intelligence, and she appreciated his kindness and steady support. Their conversations ranged from lighthearted banter to deep discussions about dreams and setbacks. With Ethan, Alexa felt seen in a way she hadn't in a long time. This blossoming relationship was a sign that healing was possible, but Alexa knew she had to walk her own path first. She set clear boundaries with Jake and Lily, cutting off contact to protect her emotional space. It was painful, but necessary. She also focused on her career, diving into projects that challenged and excited her, reminding herself of her value beyond any relationship. Most importantly, Alexa began to redefine her own narrative. No longer the betrayed woman, she was becoming a symbol of empowerment. Her story was no longer about loss, but about strength, growth, and the courage to move forward. This transformation wasn't overnight. It was a process filled with ups and downs, moments of doubt, and bursts of confidence. But with each step, Alexa felt more grounded, more alive, and more ready to face whatever came next. In the heart of Seattle, amidst the rain and ever-changing skyline, Alexa found a new sense of purpose. She was no longer defined by what happened to her, but by how she chose to rise above it. The weeks following Alexa's painful discovery had been a roller coaster of emotions. Slowly but surely, she had started to rebuild her life, leaning on therapy, trusted friends, and most importantly, herself. Each day was a small victory, a reminder that she could survive this heartbreak and grow stronger. But just as she began to believe she could finally move on, life threw her an unexpected challenge, one that tested her resolve in a way she hadn't anticipated. It was a quiet Saturday morning when the mail arrived, unremarkable except for a single, elegant envelope that stood out among the usual clutter. Alexa's fingers trembled as she picked it up. The envelope was cream-colored, thick and heavy, addressed to her in delicate, flowing gold calligraphy, Alexa Carter. For a moment, her breath caught in her throat. Inside was a wedding invitation. The card was exquisite, lavender-scented, embossed with gold lettering that gleamed under the soft light. At the top, the names Lily Evans and Jake Thompson were prominently displayed, announcing a 3-day celebration at a picturesque vineyard just outside Seattle. The invitation detailed a welcome reception, rehearsal dinner, brunch, and the wedding ceremony itself. Alexa stared at the invitation as if it were a cruel joke. Why would Lily and Jake send her an invitation to their wedding? After everything? After the betrayal that had torn their lives apart? The answer, she realized, lay not just in the invitation itself, but in the message it carried. Lily wasn't simply inviting her as a courtesy. This was a statement, an attempt to normalize the situation, to pretend that nothing had happened, that the pain, the lies, the broken trust could be swept away with an elegant card and a polite RSVP. It was as if Lily wanted to say, "I am unafraid, I am unapologetic, and I will go on living as if you no longer matter." In American culture, where independence and standing one's ground are highly valued, this kind of provocation can feel like a challenge. It was Lily's way of showing strength, or perhaps arrogance. By inviting Alexa, she was forcing her to confront the reality that life would not pause for her heartbreak. The world would keep turning, celebrations would continue, and she could either join in or be left behind. Alexa's first impulse was to reject the invitation outright, to rip it up, to throw it in the fire, to erase the very idea of their wedding from her mind. But beneath the rush of anger and pain, a steadier voice whispered, "What if this invitation wasn't just a challenge from Lily? What if it was also an opportunity for Alexa to reclaim her power, to choose her own path in the face of betrayal?" For days, Alexa wrestled with the decision. Should she go? Could she face the memories, the whispers, the inevitable questions? Her friends were divided. Some urged her to stay away, to protect herself from unnecessary pain. Others believed that attending might be a powerful act of grace and self-respect, a way to show that she was no longer defined by what had happened. Most importantly, Alexa knew she wouldn't go alone. Ethan, her study companion and newfound source of strength, promised to stand by her side no matter what. "If you decide to go," he said softly, "I'll be right there with you. No judgment, just support." Together, they planned for the event with care. Alexa chose a royal blue dress, bold, elegant, and commanding respect without shouting for attention. Ethan picked a tailored navy suit, the two of them sending a clear message. They were united, confident, and unafraid. In American culture, where independence and standing one's ground are highly valued, this kind of provocation can feel like a challenge. It was Lily's way of showing strength, or perhaps arrogance. By inviting Alexa, she was forcing her to confront the reality that life would not pause for her heartbreak. The world would keep turning, celebrations would continue, and she could either join in or be left behind. Alexa's first impulse was to reject the invitation outright, to rip it up, to throw it in the fire, to erase the very idea of their wedding from her mind. But beneath the rush of anger and pain, a steadier voice whispered, "What if this invitation wasn't just a challenge from Lily? What if it was also an opportunity for Alexa to reclaim her power, to choose her own path in the face of betrayal?" For days, Alexa wrestled with the decision. Should she go? Could she face the memories, the whispers, the inevitable questions? Her friends were divided. Some urged her to stay away, to protect herself from unnecessary pain. Others believed that attending might be a powerful act of grace and self-respect, a way to show that she was no longer defined by what had happened. Most importantly, Alexa knew she wouldn't go alone. Ethan, her steady companion and newfound. The wedding weekend arrived with a mix of anticipation, nervousness, and unspoken tension. Alexa and Ethan pulled up to the sprawling vineyard estate in Woodinville early on Friday afternoon. The estate was breathtaking, a rolling landscape of grapevines stretching toward the horizon, framed by the soft, misty light typical of the Pacific Northwest. It was the kind of place where stories were made, where love was celebrated. But for Alexa, it felt like walking into a storm. She took a deep breath, steadying herself as they stepped out of the car. The crisp autumn air smelled faintly of earth and ripened fruit. Ethan's hand found hers, warm and reassuring. "We've got this," he whispered. Alexa nodded, grateful for his calm presence. From the moment they entered, the atmosphere was charged with subtle currents of unease. Guests mingled beneath towering oak trees, laughter mingling with the clinking of glasses. But Alexa sensed the sharp glances cast their way. Whispers floated just beyond earshot. She wasn't just a guest here. She was a symbol of the past, a living reminder of the fracture that had changed many lives. Her royal blue dress, elegant but understated, drew some attention. Ethan's navy suit complemented her look perfectly, their coordinated outfits a quiet statement of unity and strength. They weren't here to blend into the background, but they also weren't here to start a scene. As they moved through the crowd, Alexa encountered old acquaintances, some offering warm, genuine smiles, others giving polite nods that barely masked their discomfort. There were those who looked away, unwilling to meet her eyes. The social tightrope was exhausting, but Ethan's steady grip on her hand reminded her she wasn't alone. Later that evening, the welcome reception was a delicate dance of smiles, small talk, and carefully avoided subjects. Alexa found herself sitting at a table with some of Lily's close friends, women who had once been friendly, now cautious. The conversations were light but charged beneath the surface. Then Lily appeared. She was radiant in a flowing blush-pink gown that caught the candlelight beautifully. Her laughter, light and practiced, filled the space as she moved through the crowd. Yet beneath that sparkling exterior, Alexa detected a tension, an undercurrent that told a different story. Jake was by her side, his usual confident smile tinged with an edge Alexa hadn't seen before. When Lily's eyes met Alexa's across the room, there was a brief flash of something, perhaps surprise, perhaps calculation. The moment they finally spoke, Lily's voice was sweet but carried a subtle edge. "Alexa, you made it," she said with an almost too perfect smile. "And you brought Ethan. I'm glad to see you're doing well." Alexa returned the greeting calmly. "Thank you, Lily. I wanted to come." The exchange was polite but fraught, a dance of words with unspoken history lurking beneath each syllable. The next day's rehearsal dinner was more intimate, held in a cozy wood-paneled room overlooking the vineyard. The smaller setting intensified the emotional stakes. Alexa sat beside Ethan, who whispered quiet reassurances when the conversation veered close to uncomfortable territory. Across the table, Jake's parents watched her with polite smiles that didn't reach their eyes. Mrs. Thompson's expression was cool, guarded. Mr. Thompson's glances carried a quiet judgment. Lily's family clustered protectively around her, their whispered comments carrying the weight of loyalty and unspoken alliances. Friends who once embraced Alexa now seemed hesitant, unsure where their loyalties belonged. The room buzzed with tension beneath the polite clinking of glasses. Despite the strain, Alexa found moments of unexpected connection. A distant cousin she hadn't met before struck up a genuine conversation, sharing stories of family traditions and the importance of forgiveness. For a moment, the weight of the weekend lifted. Sunday morning brought the family brunch, a casual affair with sunlight streaming through the windows and soft music playing in the background. Alexa sat beside her father, who reached out to squeeze her hand gently, offering a quiet anchor amid the sea of complex emotions. Across the room, Jake and Lily exchanged guarded smiles, their carefully coordinated interactions a stark contrast to the ease Alexa shared with Ethan. The differences between the couples were palpable. The calm confidence of Alexa and Ethan stood in sharp relief to the tension radiating from Jake and Lily. Throughout the weekend, Alexa navigated a maze of old wounds and new beginnings. Each conversation, each glance carried weight. There were moments. The evening of the wedding reception wrapped the vineyard estate in a soft, golden glow. Strings of fairy lights twinkled above the polished wooden floor of the ballroom, while the gentle notes of a live string quartet floated through the air. The atmosphere was a delicate balance of celebration and tension, and Alexa could feel every heartbeat as she and Ethan stepped inside. Friends, family, and colleagues gathered to honor Lily and Jake's union. Alexa's eyes scanned the crowd. Some faces were warm with genuine happiness, while others carried subtle expressions of curiosity or quiet judgment. The room was alive with whispered conversations and stolen glances. This night was more than a wedding. It was a test. The usual speeches began, light-hearted toasts from the best man and maid of honor, carefully crafted to celebrate the couple without stirring any hidden conflicts. The room relaxed, laughter bubbling up as memories were shared and futures toasted. Then Lily stood. Her steps were deliberate as she made her way to the microphone. Her blush-pink gown shimmered under the lights, but her voice carried a firmness that commanded attention. "I want to say something too," she began, drawing all eyes. "Everyone here knows how much I love Jake." A hush fell over the crowd, the air thick with anticipation. "What some of you might not know," Lily continued, eyes locking briefly with Alexa's, "is that love isn't always simple. It's messy, it's complicated. Sometimes it means facing challenges, overcoming mistakes, and choosing each other despite the past." Her words were measured but pointed, a clear acknowledgement of the storm beneath the surface. There was a subtle edge, an unspoken message wrapped in civility. Lily smiled, though it was tinged with bitterness. "Jake and I have built something real, something lasting, and sometimes the hardest journeys lead to the most beautiful destinations." Whispers rippled through the crowd. Alexa's grip tightened on Ethan's hand. The statement was a reminder, softly spoken but sharply aimed. Before tension could escalate further, Ethan rose. The room shifted as he approached the microphone, his presence calm but commanding. "May I?" he asked, voice steady. The room fell silent. "For those who don't know me, I'm Ethan," he began, "and I've had the honor of getting to know Alexa over these past months." His gaze swept the crowd, unwavering. "I want to congratulate Lily and Jake on their marriage. Commitment takes courage and faith, and today is a celebration of that." A pause. The crowd listened, rapt. "In the time I've known Alexa, I've witnessed something extraordinary, a woman of strength, grace, and resilience. Despite everything she's faced, she stands here not as a victim, but as a survivor." A murmur of appreciation stirred. What Lily said is true in one way. Love is complicated, but Alexa is not a chapter to be forgotten or a footnote in someone else's story. She is the author of her own life, stronger, wiser, and ready for whatever comes next. Applause filled the room. Some faces showed surprise, others admiration. Alexa felt a surge of emotion, a mixture of relief, pride, and hope. Ethan's words were more than support. They were a public declaration of her worth. Jake looked unsettled, his confident mask slipping. Lily's composure faltered, a flicker of doubt crossing her features. Ethan returned to Alexa's side, whispering, "You were incredible." She nodded, tears threatening but held back by a fierce smile. Tonight was not just a celebration for others, it was her moment of triumph. The music resumed, the night flowing on, but the atmosphere had shifted irrevocably. Alexa was no longer the betrayed fiancé or the wounded friend. She was a woman reclaimed, whole, proud, and unapologetically herself. In the days that followed the wedding, the whirlwind of emotions began to settle, leaving Alexa in a quiet space of reflection. The confrontation, the speeches, the tense moments, all of it had been part of a painful chapter, but it was also the moment when she truly started to reclaim her life. Walking away from the vineyard that night, hand in hand with Ethan, Alexa felt a renewed sense of hope. The air was crisp, and the city lights of Seattle twinkled in the distance, as if reminding her that life was filled with endless possibilities beyond the heartbreak. For Alexa, healing wasn't about erasing the past. It was about learning to live with it, to understand that pain is a part of growth, and that sometimes the most difficult moments become the foundation for strength and resilience. She had learned that she was not defined by betrayal, nor by the mistakes of others, but by how she chose to rise after falling. Her relationship with Ethan blossomed naturally and gently. Unlike the rushed, complicated romance she had once known, this connection was built on mutual respect, honesty, and genuine affection. Ethan wasn't just a comforting presence in her storm, he was a partner who saw her whole, the past, the pain, and the promise. Together, they explored the city with a new sense of wonder, discovering quiet coffee shops tucked away in Seattle's neighborhoods, taking long walks along the Sound's shores, and sharing conversations that stretched deep into the night. Each shared experience deepened their bond, reminding Alexa that love could be both healing and hopeful. At the same time, Alexa began to mend the fractured relationships in her life, but on her own terms. She reached out to family members who respected her boundaries and who understood the journey she was on. Some connections, however, remained distant, and she came to accept that healing didn't always mean reconciliation. Sometimes protecting oneself meant letting go. Her career, too, took on new life. The confidence she gained from overcoming personal adversity spilled into her work. Alexa took on ambitious projects at the tech startup where she worked, leading innovative teams and mentoring younger colleagues. Her story of resilience quietly inspired those around her, a testament to the power of strength in the face of hardship. Her parents watched with pride as their daughter emerged from the shadows of heartbreak, stronger and more self-assured. Her father's advice about forgiveness and her mother's unwavering support had laid the foundation for this transformation. Family dinners, once tense and fraught, began to regain warmth and laughter, filled with honest conversations and renewed connection. Months later, one evening under the soft glow of string lights in her backyard, Ethan surprised Alexa. It was a simple, heartfelt moment. He knelt down on one knee and asked her to marry him. Not with grand extravagance, but with a promise rooted in love and trust. The ring he offered was unique, a sapphire surrounded by delicate diamonds, symbolizing both strength and beauty. Alexa said yes, not because she was trying to replace the past, but because she was embracing a future built on authenticity and hope. Their engagement was not rushed. It was a commitment to grow together, to build a life grounded in honesty and mutual respect. Through her journey, Alexa discovered lessons that extended far beyond her own story. Betrayal, while devastating, did not diminish her worth. Healing was a process, one that required patience, self-care, and the courage to face pain head-on. She learned that happiness was not about revenge or proving something to others, but about choosing herself and her peace. Her story became a beacon for anyone who had felt broken or lost. Alexa's resilience showed that even in the darkest moments, new beginnings are possible for those brave enough to seek them. One evening, as she looked out over the Seattle skyline, hand in hand with Ethan, Alexa smiled with quiet confidence. Life had given her a second chance, not just at love, at truly knowing and loving herself. And that was a beginning worth celebrating. As Alexa's story comes to a close, it leaves us with something much more than just a tale of heartbreak and betrayal. It offers powerful life lessons that resonate far beyond the confines of any one experience. What makes her journey so compelling is not just the pain she endured, but the strength she found to rise above it, a strength that anyone watching can relate to and learn from. One of the most important lessons Alexa's story teaches us is that betrayal, while painful, does not define who we are. Life will inevitably throw challenges our way, often from the very people we trust most. It can feel like the end of the world when those bonds are broken, but it's also an opportunity to discover our own resilience. Alexa's journey reminds us that we have the power to rewrite our story, to transform pain into growth, and to emerge stronger on the other side. Another key takeaway is the importance of self-care and setting boundaries. In American culture, where independence and self-reliance are highly valued, it's easy to feel pressured to just move on or keep busy. But healing isn't a race, it's a process. Alexa's decision to seek therapy, focus on her health, and surround herself with supportive people shows the power of taking time for yourself. Protecting your emotional well-being by setting clear boundaries with those who hurt you is not selfish, it's essential. Her story also underscores the value of authentic relationships. When she met Ethan, Alexa found not just a new partner, but a true ally who respected her journey and supported her growth. This reflects a broader truth about human connections. What truly matters is honesty, respect, and mutual care. Whether it's friendships, family, or romantic relationships, surrounding yourself with people who lift you up rather than tear you down is vital. Perhaps the most profound lesson is about forgiveness, not necessarily for others, but for ourselves. Alexa's path showed that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or excusing betrayal. Instead, it's about freeing yourself from the burden of anger and pain, allowing space for healing and peace. This idea of releasing what weighs us down rather than holding on to bitterness can be a turning point in anyone's life. For those watching who may be facing similar struggles, whether it's betrayal, heartbreak, or loss, Alexa's story is a beacon of hope. It reminds us that even the darkest chapters can lead to new beginnings. You are not alone, and your story isn't over. There is strength within you to overcome, to heal, and to thrive. If Alexa's journey resonated with you, I encourage you to take a moment and reflect on your own life. What challenges have you faced that felt impossible to overcome? How did you find the strength to keep going? Or maybe you're still in that difficult place. Know that healing is possible, and it starts with taking one step forward. I'd love to hear your stories, your lessons, and your moments of strength. Please share them in the comments below. Your voice could be the encouragement someone else needs to keep fighting. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Sharing this story could help others who are going through their own struggles feel seen and understood. Together, we can build a community of support and resilience. Remember, life may challenge you, but it will never define you unless you allow it. Your best chapter is still waiting to be written. Thank you for listening, and here's to your journey of healing, growth, and new beginnings.